decades. Continuing rent regulation is just the first step toward addressing this housing crisis and ensuring that 1 million renter households continue to be protected with the right to a lease renewal, regulation of rental increases from lease to lease as voted on by the Rent Guidelines Board, and protection from frivolous evictions. The rental protections provided by rent regulation are a key pillar of three, I say, that must move forward in order for the city to progress against the housing crisis. We must increase housing supply by removing bureaucratic barriers. That's free for the government to do. And also by using our tax expenditures to solve for the deepest need. When we spend tax dollars, we need to get something in return. Expanding income supports, as the City Council under the Speaker's leadership has expanded the eligibility of city FEPs, and to aid New York City, and to strengthen tenant protections, of which the extension of rent regulation is a critical component. Thank you so much, and thank you for your leadership, Madam Speaker.
Thank you for your leadership. That does conclude our entire stated agenda. We'll take on-topic questions first.
On-topic questions on the legislation? No?
Yeah, sure. Councilwoman, can you explain a little bit why you feel like the Department of Education has been providing enough information on class sizes and respond to the comments from the chancellor that there's no way they could hire enough teachers even if they wanted to meet the law?
Well, we've always needed this data, and I've always said data will inform your decisions. So we need to capture this data in the gifted, talented ENL, multi-language learners. There was always a shortage. I told them many times they have to create a pipeline in order to hire educators. It's not, and it's a national shortage, and we saw that in specialty areas. ESL teachers are short, bilingual social workers have always been short, speech pathologists. I taught in my district, there was only one bilingual speech pathologist for the whole district. So these shortages are historically there. So they just have to create pipelines and partnerships with universities and finding other ways to pipeline. Even for the ESL crisis, I had suggested to the chancellor that I think every teacher that has a common branch license should have an extension in ESL, and that would also help curb the shortage in that area as well.
Any other on-topic questions on the legislation?
In regards to, I think it's 44% of the city buildings are rent stabilized apartment buildings. With that in mind, can you speak about how extending basically the current legislation will affect the everyday New Yorker?
Yeah, there's about 1 million households in the city of New York out of 3.7 million that are currently protected by rent regulation. So as I said, that means that they are protected from frivolous evictions. That means that their lease increases in rent from year to year, from lease to lease, they are regulated, right? So they can't, a landlord can't just come in and say, you know, you're gonna pay $4,000 more now. You know, these protections, we almost, in many ways, New Yorkers might take them for granted because it seems like for as long as you've been in New York, since 1969, we've had these protections. But this legislation today keeps them in place, and really, they wouldn't continue if we didn't pass these bills today. They wouldn't continue if we didn't pass these bills today.
We're not looking to move into the off-topic questions. We're not looking to move into the off-topic questions.
This is a different side of City Hall. This is a different side of City Hall.
So we asked the mayor today about the decision of sexual assault handle this suit, which goes sexual assault, and I put it in the frame of civil service in general. I put it in the frame of hypothetical service in general. But if a civil servant there, it's a hypothetical active servant gets something from that vintage as active and gets something from that vintage choose to identify them or defend them. Council, is that something where it choose to identify them or defend them by outside counsel? Is that something where federal communication financing handled by outside?
You know, I watched as I do. I watched the press conference, and you guys really exhausted that question. The press conference. Corp Counsel was in the room. I think the Judge Radix answered. Corp Counsel was in the room. I think the Judge Radix answered the question a lot. Not expressed what she's already expressed as the Corp Counsel. She referenced the charter. She's already expressed as the Corp Counsel. You know, the ability of city workers to have representation by Corp Counsel. But, we're going to review all of this in relation to the law and details, of the civil lawsuit. But I'm going to stand right now with what Corp Counsel said in her response.
Okay, as another question, you set an important signal with the $700 million joint appropriation announcement for nonprofit social welfare workers.
Yep.
It will be a game changer for those folks.
Yep.
They're pressing for something as generous and uplifting in Albany. That hasn't happened yet. Tomorrow there's going to be home care workers who've been fighting the ban on the 24-hour workday. How is that different in the sense that if the city moved that legislation that Councilman Marte has been advocating, wouldn't it have the effect of uplifting? I think you said to me there's a jurisdictional issue,
Yep.
that it's a state matter. You could just refine that.
Sure. Again, Bob, I absolutely support the workers and their desire for improved working conditions. That goes without saying. This council has advanced meaningful labor protections, and we're going to continue to do that. But the city council cannot, and we keep on saying this, we cannot change State Department of Labor regulations or Medicaid reimbursement rates. So the solution to address the 24-hour home care has to occur at the state level. We even had the state chair on this committee speak in the oversight hearing, and the chair said the exact same thing, that this is a state issue. So we've got to be honest, with the folks who do this work and care and are impacted by this, that the city council does not control Medicaid and home care health care regulations. We passed a resolution saying that the state is responsible for this, of course, and we want that to happen. It's got to happen at the state level where it lies. Thank you.
Michael?
I want to go back to the Corp Council thing for a second.
Mhm.
There have been many instances where, in a situation of alleged police misconduct, where Corp Council hasn't picked up a representation,
Right.
where those accused have had to get their own lawyers. So, again, on that question, I mean, is it appropriate in this situation for the mayor to use Corp Council paid for by taxpayers in a situation that really had nothing to do with policing, although apparently, according to the accuser, he was on duty at the time this happened. Is it appropriate for the city to pick up the bill for that?
Again, I'm going to rely on what Corp Counsel said. If legal advice and Corp Counsel is available per the charter, that's still the answer.
Bobby?
Can I just get your thoughts, generally your reaction to, say, the details that were in the lawsuit? I mean, do you find it disturbing? Are you inclined to believe they're going to drop the charge?
Thank you, Bobby, and it's good to see you in the Red Room again as well. The allegations of the lawsuit are very serious. I don't think anybody would deny that. It's really important that they are fully reviewed, and it's important that due process is allowed, as in any case. So I'm going to refrain from any further comment on that right now, but due process has to take its course.
So we're gonna go Nolan, finish Nolan, and then Jeff.
The administration says they're looking, the chancellor says they're looking for money to fully fund the 3K programs to replace some of the expiring pandemic aid. The mayor himself, the OMB chair, have committed to it. Will you agree to bring a budget to a vote if it doesn't fully fund pre-K and 3K?
Well, the budget process is going to go forward. We are, as we do every year, look forward to passing a budget, one that is good, and the best budget that we can pass. As far as 3K is concerned, that is a top issue for this council. I don't think that we've made a secret over our concern over 3K, over our concern that families are leaving the city because of a lack of affordability for education for their little ones. And we are going to push as hard as we possibly can for the restoration or creativity to maintain 3K to the best benefit of all New Yorkers who need it.
Does a good budget deal not include full replacement of that money?
That's going to be under consideration during negotiations. We're going to hope that we get full restoration.
Thank you. Jeff, and then Ziggy.
The state budget's hopefully going to pass next week, or the week after, What's your absolute top priority
Oh, good question, Jeff. I think as far as the state is concerned, we are hoping that a successful revisit on the housing stuff gets pushed to the front of negotiation so that we can indeed move when it comes to housing and the need for housing and the need for our state partners to be fully invested in housing for all New Yorkers. And the other part of your question was, forgive me. Migrant fund. Yeah, that also is top of mind also when it comes to the state. And of course, the state has to do its part. We sound like, and I always date myself when I say the broken record, but some of us remember broken records, right, Bob? We remember those. We have not been fairly treated when it comes to funding. We all know that. So it really, really does, it behooves all of us for our state partners to do their part in helping us with appropriate funding for migrants as well.
And any plans to go travel physically out to Albany before the budget?
I have no plans right now. I've done several Albany visits. I have no plans right now to go up before the budget. But who's to say? Things could change tomorrow.
For Councilmember Sanchez, you were letting vocal following the partial building collapse on Billingsley. Yesterday, I know you're familiar with it, tenants got together with the Blue Wave Society, and also DOB was involved in that lawsuit. They were in court for the first time yesterday, and the landlord successfully argued for more time to correct the issues, and now they're saying there's a lead issue because of the collapse. And tenants, they're saying following this collapse, violations continue to grow, and the landlord continues to circumvent his duty to correct these serious issues. What's your response to that following yesterday's court?
Yeah. I mean, we at the City Council, our partners in the state, the federal government, we have laws for a reason. We protect children from lead poisoning for a reason, right? Because that can alter the course, the trajectory of their life. And so I'll share that, following the collapse, when the vacate orders were recently lifted, I visited the building and I visited several apartments that, one seemed to have illegal construction work going on, not non-permitted work, so that was problematic, but there was dust everywhere. And there were little children, 1- and 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds running around the building. We're talking about a landlord that has a history of having derelict properties that had this collapse. Now, the collapse itself, was because an engineer misclassified a column. That's what DOB is saying. But the core of the issue is that this landlord is not taking care of this property and has the duty, the responsibility to do so. So I'm thankful for the legal service providers and the support that they're providing to the tenants. And this building must be fixed. And 10,000 other buildings in the city of New York that have this critical massive violations, B and C class HPD violations, structural violations from DOB, they must be addressed as well. And our council is very focused on this preservation issue.
Thanks, everybody.
I think we got Mets opening day next week. Do you have a prediction? Are we going to the playoffs this year?
We can only hope, Nolan. I'm coming in my hours.